Right, this is it, the test now. Moment of truth. Has the tyre held up overnight? It has. It actually has. Right, so let's chat bike. Okay, so overall I would say I went medium effort on the bike. I knew the weather was going to affect me, so I actually didn't want to go too hard, and I knew the run afterwards was just going to be horrific, so again, I held back. Um, so my overall bike split time was a 2:46:43 versus a 3:19:44 in 2019. Although in 2019 I did get two punctures, and I think my actual moving time in 2019 was 2:55, so around a 10-minute course PB. But like I say, I was actually going pretty easy. My normalised power for the day was 227. With an average of 207 watts versus an estimated Strava average for 2019 of 175. So I didn't have a power meter on my bike back then, so that's a bit difficult to compare, but sounds about right at that point. My average heart rate was exactly the same actually, which is interesting, 164 both years. Just thankful for getting around the course without getting any punctures. Like I say, I had two in 2019. And unfortunately, I did wake up on Saturday morning to a completely flat front tyre, which led to a bit of a mad panic on a Saturday morning. I'd pumped the tyres up on Friday night, got the bike already, got it off the turbo and everything. So I've got no idea what happened on Friday night to cause the flat tyre, but pumped it back up and luckily it held out. And then obviously on Sunday morning I checked it again. I didn't bother pumping any of the tyres once I got to the event, and everything held out. So that was good. Now, in terms of the bike itself, I made sure to go really slow at the start because it's a really good opportunity to lose all your bottles. Everyone I spoke to who hadn't done the course before, I basically told them to just keep your hands on top of your sort of onboard nutrition and all that sort of stuff as you're going over. I think there's about 10 speed bumps in the space of about 200 metres, so so you've got to hold on to those there. Unfortunately, that did come back to bite me because on one of the descents, the only thing that actually keeps my big bottle in the bottle holder on the front is me and my aero position. So on one of the descents, which was a bit sketchy, I was up on the tops near the brakes. So my bottle fell out, and unfortunately it fell into a bush on the side of the road, and it was really difficult to find. I've actually checked my Training Peaks data, and I lost 1 minute and 50 seconds looking for it. And of course then I was at the bottom of the descent, which meant I had zero momentum going into the other side of getting out of the descent, so I lost a bit more time going out of that as well. So that was fun, but I knew if I left my bottle I was going to be in some serious trouble because of the weather, so I had to do everything I could to get it back. I was actually just about to leave it when I noticed it at the very last second, hiding as well. So yeah, got back the bottle back on the bike and we're back into it then. The first 15k, I think it's around the first 15k, to me, if you're just an average age grouper like me, it's just a complete write-off. It's all country lanes, it's gravel all over the surface, potholes everywhere, horse crap, branches all over the road. You've obviously got people coming past you because it's quite early on in the course. But to me, it was just a complete write-off because I was desperately trying to keep the bottles and stuff on the bike as well. So I mean, you've got to have some serious cojones to be going fast on that first 15k because I watched two people go flying into a bush, arse over tit, because one of the 90-degree turns was not signalled very well. The warning sign was actually put on another 90-degree turn, so it looked like it was warning for that. So once you'd seen that, you sort of got your head back down. Luckily, I had two people in front of me, probably 20 or 30 metres ahead, and I watched them sort of slamming their brakes on and going into the bush, so I went round the corner a lot slower. Now, the big hill on the course, which starts at 57 kilometres into the 90-kilometre route, is absolutely brutal. And I've also, again, checked on my Training Peaks, it's 10 kilometres of solid climbing. And then the worst thing about it is that, well, other than it slowly bringing down your average speed, is that you were rewarded with almost no fast descent off it. You'll have about a minute at a time where you might be going fast, and then you're just into another warning sign, another 90-degree turn, or another sharp incline back out of it. That's one of the worst things about this course. When you look at the profile, you think, oh well, There might be a steep climb here, but then you're rewarded with a nice long descent off it, but you're not. Every descent that you get off the big hills, and there's multiple big hills in this, at best you're probably going fast for 30 minutes and 30 seconds or a minute before you're slamming the brakes on, going into another climb or another left-hand turn or something that just stops your flow. Whereas at Nottingham, once you've done Oxon Bank, there's like a 6 or 7 kilometre descent where you're just doing about 45 kilometres an hour solid for like 6 or 7k without too much effort. You're just straight in the aero position and flying. The bit where you go over the dam or whatever it is, the reservoir, that is really fun. There's a cameraman on the other side, so if you're doing this event next year, be prepared for that. He's on the ascent. That is a really fun part of the course. Now, in terms of nutrition, I was trying something different this time, so I'd switched out to solid foods because I've been having a lot of stomach issues on the bike and run after the swim. So I took along the Sis energy bakes. But anyway, on the bike, they are impossible to eat. If you think Cliff Blocks are difficult to eat, these are 10 times worse. And I took 4 with me, and I didn't even finish a single one, which basically meant that I did the whole of the event on my sort of porridge and banana-based breakfast, 2 Lucozades and 1 caffeine Sis gel. But you can't eat them; they just make your mouth so dry. So that was fun. But what I did find was that my stomach was a lot better for one simple reason, and that's because I took a couple of wind settlers, the little tablets for that. So I took one just before getting into the swim, and then about 30 minutes into the bike. And the reason I did this was I googled it going into the event, and apparently on some triathlon forums it was suggested that maybe when you're on the swim, when you're taking in a breath, you take in a small amount of water and air at the same time that just ends up going into your stomach. And so the actual discomfort I've been feeling is just bloatedness, which sounded about right to me. And it seemed to work a treat, actually. I felt a lot better. I wouldn't say I felt perfect, but there's still the stress of the actual event, isn't there? But yeah, I felt a lot better, sort of stomach-wise, on both the bike and run. So yeah, once in the next couple of events that I'm going to do, I'll obviously remember that, but also switch back to my original nutrition plan of more gels in the bottles and maybe the Cliff Block gels. Yeah, so overall I'd say I didn't go too hard on the bike, but the bike route itself is actually pretty tough. It's definitely not a fast course, like I said. But the bike held out, the tyre held out, and we made it into T2. And then we're on to the run. So I'll go into the run on the next video and then summarise the whole day in that one as well. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.